I've been reading about convict height this morning. At 173 centimetres tall, I'm actually 11 centimetres taller than the average Australian woman today. Some of you might say I'm too tall, and to you boys I say, I didn't want to date you anyway. I'm not picky, mum, I'm discerning. Get this, my convict ancestor was 152 centimetres tall. It's genetics. A, it's not, and B, genes weren't even a thing in your era. Genes are important and they determine how tall you should be, just like they determine what colour eyes you have or whether your hair will ever be able to hold a curl. And even if you sleep with your hair in curlers and wake up with a splitting headache, it still does nothing but go dead straight. But with your height, there's a catch. Your genetic height is actually a secret your body keeps from you. You'll never know if you reach it, and there are actually a whole lot of reasons why you might not. Nutrition is a big one. If your mother eats well during pregnancy and you eat well in childhood, then you'll have enough fuel to grow as tall as your genes will let you. And if you don't, you won't. But even if you do, there are a whole host of other things that might stunt your growth. Now, in your class at school, I bet there were probably some very tall people, some very short people, and everybody else was just somewhere in the middle, is that right? This variation in height is known as a Gaussian curve. In a big enough group, the numbers of disproportionately short people are about the same as the number of disproportionately tall people, with everybody else somewhere in the middle. Wouldn't say I'm disproportionately tall. If we're comparing individuals, it's impossible to know what's genetic and what's environmental. But if we look at a big enough group, then we can start to see patterns in height due to those environmental conditions. If you have enough people in your sample, those genetic anomalies cancel out and you create a Gaussian curve. Then you can start to compare curves between different groups. Generally speaking, if a group of people is significantly shorter than another group of people, then it's likely they were exposed to more environmental insults growing up, leading to them being shorter. In this way, we can actually read someone's childhood in their adult body. We have height measurements for nearly all the convicts transported to Van Diemen's Land, plus for anybody convicted of an offence in the colony. This includes free settlers. People in the past were short. That's why old shoes are so small. Smoggy, industrialising 19th century Britain was hardly overflowing with sunshine, fresh food and clean water. And 19th century medicine was... Convicts were generally shorter than free settlers. This is likely due to convicts being exposed to more environmental insults during childhood. A more disadvantaged upbringing might make you more likely to be convicted of a transportable offence, committing crimes for survival, or because you hadn't learnt the work or social skills required for you to get a job or build a stable life. Convicts who re-offended, recidivists, were shorter still. This could have been for all the same reasons, but there might have also been a subconscious height bias in the judicial system. Short, guilty. Statistically, shorter people have a harder time finding work even today. It could still be genetic. What if, coincidentally, all of those convicts just happen to have really short parents? History loves coincidences. Quantitative history does not love coincidences. Most of us today reach our full adult height in our teens, but many convicts who arrived in Van Diemen's Land who had their height measured in their 20s then underwent major growth spurts the next time they had their height measured, in their 20s. Thanks to all of that sunshine, fresh food, clean water, clearly they still hadn't reached their full genetic height. And when the environmental conditions changed, they were able to catch up a bit. Well, I suppose. Then there were the colonially born children. Convicts and free settlers gave birth to children in Australia who were super tall. You see the same effect in all the new colonies at the time. Australia, North America, New Zealand. Children born in these new colonies towered over their parents and their peers born back in Britain. Their parents haven't suddenly got all of this new genetic code to pass on to them. It's environmental. But these are the children of convicts, criminals, the lowest of the low, even lower. Surely the children of free settlers were healthier. Bad blood will out. This was a popular view at the time. People thought that you inherited criminality and poverty. Were the convicts' children as healthy as free settler children? We've all heard of the convict stain, the social shame of having a convict as an ancestor. But what if the convict stain was physical? Were you at a disadvantage if you had a convict as a parent? Is that someone at the door? Oh, sorry. It's actually a lot later than I thought it was, and I have to go. But let's catch this up next time, okay? Great. Bye. Do you think she's going on a date? Her? Not a chance. I heard that. Z scores. Z scores.